This was the first screen. This all was a 1.31. The main things I noticed were on red, you can do 4 moves to get to this CLL case, or you can do 3 moves to get to this EG1 case. I also looked on blue, and I saw that you could do 5 moves to make a layer, but that wasn't really too good. And then I also looked on orange and saw that you can either do 2 moves to this EG2 case, or you can do 4 moves to get a different case, but neither of those were too great. So eventually I just went with the CLL solution on red by doing U, R2, U, R prime, but then canceling into an alg that starts with R, U2, R prime. So when I had it here, I just did U, R2, U prime, R prime, F prime, R2, U, R prime, F prime, F prime, R.
8 seconds. 1 second.
This was the second scroll. This cell was a 0.70. I first saw on white you can do 6 moves to get to just that last layer skip with a U2 AUF. I also looked on orange and saw that you could do 4 moves to get to this 2-gen H case, but eventually I just decided to hold it here and do the 7 move of registering U prime, R2, U prime, R, U, R prime, U2.
8 seconds. 12 seconds.
This was the third scroll. This cell was a 0.98. I first saw on blue you can do 3 moves to get to this EG1 case, and you can cancel into it. I also looked on green and saw that you could do 3 moves to get to a not very good EG2 case. So eventually I just decided to do on blue, canceling into the alg. Instead of doing R2, U, R prime, that was actually the first 3 moves of one of the algs I know for this case, so you just had it here with a R, U prime, R2, and then you can just finish with F, R2, U, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime, U2.
8 seconds.
This was the fourth scramble. This cell was a 0.68. I saw on orange you could either do 5 moves by doing R, U, R2, U, R to get to J prime, or you can do 5 moves by doing R prime, U2, R2, U, R prime, and you can get into Nicolas, and you can actually cancel into it. I also looked on blue and saw that you could do some sort of cancellation by, if you see that you do U prime, R, you get the CLL case, and I think there's a way you could hold it so you could actually cancel into it. But eventually what I just decided to do was on orange, I just did R prime, U2, R, F, R prime, F prime, R.
8 seconds. 12 seconds.
What? This was the fifth scramble. This cell was a 0.96. The first thing I checked was on orange, you can do 1 move to get to this TCLL case. I also looked on yellow and saw that you could get to this EG1 case with 4 moves. But instead of doing that, I know when you get that specific angle, you can actually do a longer CLL layer, and then you get Nicolas, and you can actually cancel into it. But eventually what I just decided to do was, on orange, I did, well, instead of doing an R prime and then just doing the normal alg for this TCLL case, I held it here and did like an L prime, U2, and then the alternative alg I know for this is just like where you could do L, U2, F prime, L, F, L2, and that would just be done with no UF, so that's what I ended up doing.